And good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Back with Midwest Express. It is Tuesday morning. Today is maintenance day for old Bessie here. We're at 233,000 miles on her. And that kind of brings me to today's topic. And sometimes I want to say common mistakes that drivers make when they get started with gig work. And it has to do with your vehicle. So when a lot of people start gig work, they look at their vehicle like they look at their legs. They're like, I got strong, sturdy legs. I've got a good vehicle. I could do this and make some extra money. And that is all true. But unlike your legs, your vehicle doesn't get stronger as more you use it. It starts to break down. Slowly but surely, your vehicle is depreciating in value, getting wear and tear, the shocks, the struts, the brakes, everything is going to start to wear. And drivers often don't anticipate how fast things are going to go on them when they start driving. Because when you get started, there's all these bonuses and incentives that you're like, oh, I got to do so many rides. And then you start realizing how fast you're doing these oil changes, how fast you're racking up all this time on your vehicle. Americans overall, we don't spend a lot of money on stuff like big purchases. Like typically your home mortgage, your college education, if you're bothered to get one, and your vehicle are your biggest purchases that you make in your life. And especially when you're young, a car is probably your number one purchase. So people see this as like my car, my status symbol, my thing that, and you see people ranting about how they drove the wheels off their car and gig work was the biggest mistake they ever made. And that's because a common mistake is you see this as your vehicle, your daily ride. You have to view your vehicle as an investment. Just like a house, if you purchase a house, you're hoping that one day all that money you're pouring into, the house is going to go up in value and it's going to pay you back some. Your college education, hopefully you're going to invest in your college education, get a higher paying job, and get paid back and be able to pay off that education, which is tough to do nowadays. Now, with this vehicle, it's not going to pay you out at the end. And that's the common mistake that people are making, is they are not investing or saving for the repairs and replacement of your vehicle. So my number one tip for anybody that's getting into gig work is you need to set aside 10% of your earnings for repair and replacement of your vehicle. That's just going to cover the depreciation of your vehicle, and hopefully your vehicle lasts long enough that you'll be able to get a replacement one if needed. That's tip number one. And I know that's really, that's hard to ask, because you're also being told, hey, save 30% for taxes. And a lot of guys don't do that. And then they're like, man, I got to pay taxes on all this at the end of the year, because they're new into the game and they don't realize the costs that get onset with you getting into gig work. So I know that's a lot to ask, but if you do it, it will keep you out of the quagmire of when things go bad, hopefully. So other tips, if you can, and this is another big ask, this is not my primary vehicle. My family, we have another vehicle. So we have a daily driver. We have something that we go get groceries and whatnot, an older vehicle, but it's a Toyota Highlander and it's got some miles on it, but it's our daily. These things have a shelf life. I'm at 233,000 miles. I know many vehicles that don't make it to 150 or 200,000. This vehicle, all I've done is spark plugs, tires, filters, and fluid changes, and tried to stay on point with all those oil changes and tire rotations and changing out the transmission fluids and whatnot, because that's the livelihood of your drivetrain. That's super important. Can't skip that stuff. So, but if possible, have a secondary vehicle, and that will cover you if this goes bad. If this car gets sideswiped by somebody, and you got to go through all the insurance rigmarole, and it's going to be weeks or months till everything gets solved. If you don't have a secondary vehicle to get back on the road to keep money coming into the coffers, and you did not save that money, then you could be in a tough spot, if the transmission drops out or just something that is a huge expense. Third most important rule, have good insurance. Excuse me. Now, a friend of mine, he got a really good deal on an older Honda Odyssey. He's driving in Chicago. Guy clipped him, sideswiped him, totaled his van. So at the scene of the accident, police showed up. Police are like, exchange insurance and information. They exchanged information. Guess what? My friend, because it was an older Toyota or a Honda Odyssey, he didn't have full coverage. He just went and got liability only. And what happened? The other guy had no insurance. He had already stopped paying. So when he contacted the insurance company, they're like, he's no longer covered policy, sorry. Went to contact the guy, he gave a bogus contact information. Didn't live at the address anymore. To the wind. So here's my buddy. Van's totaled. Nobody's going to pay for it. And he had to come out of pocket. Now, luckily, he's a very smart, business savvy person who had money set aside, and he was able to get another vehicle quickly. Again, insurance. If he would have had full coverage insurance, he would have been covered. He could have got a replacement vehicle or at least compensated some of it. Last but not least, have an emergency fund. And, that repair and replacement, the repairs can be costly. I've seen so many drivers lately that transmissions dropped out, timing chains broke. One of my friends, he bought a newer Honda Odyssey, and the timing chain snapped, and the replacement on it was like $7,000. He ended up eating the $7,000 and then giving the van back to the bank and letting them foreclose and mess his credit up just because he knew that was like the first of many issues coming up with this vehicle. And it was a fairly new vehicle, and it wasn't covered under a warranty. And he was just like, I got to get out of this. And he ate it. And that's tough to see. I had another friend. Seems like his brakes, his rotors, his rocker arms, his transmission, everything that you can imagine on this vehicle has been replaced. I feel like starting a GoFundMe for this guy because he has just hit so many whammies. And if your credit is not super great and you're out here, you're risking it because getting finance for another vehicle could be challenging because banks are tightening credit and it's tougher and tougher to get loans nowadays. So just wanted to share that with you guys. Hopefully you guys are having a great day, great week. Like I said, it is Tuesday. It is warming up here in Wisconsin, thankfully. It's a good day to be off to do maintenance and whatnot. So like, subscribe, and we'll head you on.